In this tutorial we're going to be doing Adobe Illustrator CS3 Ninja style. I will be using the CMYK as outlined in this tutorial. We're going to be working through one of Spooner's graphic tutorials. All of his tutorials are great, and I will use it in CMYK mode so that we can control the black as well. And when you export, you can always choose it to be it'll be RGB, so it's fine. So we'll open up Illustrator here, and Illustrator I'll choose print. You may be printing this or sending it to the web. Let's keep our options open. You can set this to inches if you want it to be sort of a standard 8.5 by 11 paper. It's up to you. So we have our normal paper here. The first thing we're going to be doing is working on the body and the head. So we'll draw our circle. If I just draw loose like this, it's going to be hard to get it to be a perfect circle. If you hold down the Shift key, then you'll have a nice circle. There we go. And I can set the stroke to be thicker or thinner, whatever I want it to be. I think I'm going to make them 4 for this tutorial. And I'll draw a rectangle. And we need a body. Maybe something like that. Now, it looks a little bit better if the body's on the back. If you take a look over here at the tutorial, there are these little ninjas. Well, you can't really see their bodies, but they're behind the head. The head is in the front. So we will send it to the back. And we can do that by right-clicking, arrange, send to back. There's other ways, but for now I'll just show you that. Maybe make this a bit bigger. When different windows are referred to, I think in the tutorial it talks about using the align window. You can always go window align and find a lot of your windows that you're looking for. And we can align things vertically. You can see it just shifted things over just a little bit. And you can also do it horizontally, which in this case it won't do any change. Okay, so there's my head, there's the body, and we're going to have some arms and legs. And here is a rounded rect tool, so we'll choose that one. And I'm just going to zoom in a little so it's easier for you to see. There. I need some legs. And you can touch the arrow keys left and right to kind of change the curvature. Usually you just leave it as is. There. How's that? There's a leg. We'll copy this, paste it. Now we have another leg. Might look better if these legs are in the back, so we'll right-click, arrange, send to back. Edit, paste, or Control-V, another one. Now this one we want to rotate. There's lots of ways to rotate. If I hold the mouse here, I can get that kind of curved, which allows me to free rotate. I can also go under Object, Transform, Rotate, type in some angle, and I can also look at the transform in here and type in some angles, so lots of choices. Okay, now our ninja has some arms. I think I'm going to send these arms to the back as well. There. Alrighty. Now we need to make the opening in the mask for the face. So we will need a circle, an ellipse actually to start with. And then we'll need a circle that kind of overlaps it. And again, we will select both. I'm holding the Shift key down. I'm clicking this one, holding the Shift key down, clicking that one when I'm selecting multiple things. And align, center things up a little bit there. Now what I'm actually wanting is this space in here, not this combined image. So if I click one, hold down the Shift key, click the other one, You can use this pathfinder. If for some reason you would close this and you're like, ah, where is it gone? Window, pathfinder, and it brings us our little window here. There's lots of options. We're going to be using different ones. The first one we're going to use is subtract. Now this is not going to work. I'll just show you the difference. So when I did that subtract, you'll notice it cut out whatever was on top. Was like a cookie cutter pressed down on the background and didn't give us what we wanted. So I'll Control Z and I'll bring this one to front. And now this top one is like the cookie cutter cutting out from the background. Hold down the shift so I have them both and subtract. There, now I have my little face opening. Now notice all it's done is made a path out of the subtraction. It still shows me all the other shapes. So if I modify this first ellipse, it will modify the result. So I'm going to click expand. Now it's just made it as a new object. And now I have my opening. Kind of like a spaceman helmet. Spacewoman helmet. Okay. Need some eyes. The eyes will just be little circles. Hold down the shift when I draw it so I get a perfect circle. Need another one. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. There we go. Now I think we're going to color it in. Alright, we'll make a shape out of the body. I'm going to move these arms up. They look a little low. There. I kind of like my little ninja that I have, and I might want to make different ninjas where I have some, maybe the arm in the front, and I want to have the arm in the back. So I'm going to highlight all of this. Control C, Control V, edit, copy, paste, and I'm just going to put my little ninja off to the side. That way I don't have to recreate all that. Now, let's make my path. I need the pathfinder window. There, that looks good. There's my little ninja. Now let's color it in. So, one of the things to notice here, and I'm just going to talk about it on this screen, is CMYK, that's cyan, magenta, yellow, and then K is for your black. And we can adjust how much we want to have, all the way to 100% black to no black. There's lots of choices on this for how to colorize things. Oh, I got to click expand still. There we go. Lots of choices on how to color things. You could double click over here and choose a color. Okay. I could have this selected now and I can change the colors however I want. Okay. Here's a nice gray. I've turned all the cyan, magenta, yellow off and just using the black and white. A way to have a little bit more control of what's going on is to bring out this appearance panel. In this appearance panel, you'll see that you can have the fill and you can have the stroke. And when I double click the fill, it brings up this color selector tool. And I can fill wherever I want it to be filled. Maybe I'll go to 90%. Something like that. I might change it later. We'll see. Appearance as well, though, I can affect the stroke. Okay, well, so far you're saying, okay, well, what's the big deal? Well, one of the techniques that Chris Spooner talks about, I can actually add another stroke. And this is something that Chris shows in his tutorial here. I'm going to duplicate the selected item if I want. And let me zoom in a little ways. Actually, let's do it on the head. You'll be able to see things better on the head. I'll go in nice and close. Select the head. Okay, so here's the stroke. I've got the stroke selected. This is the appearance panel. I'm in the appearance panel. Here's the stroke panel. And I can set it to align to the outside. There. Do you see this blue line that goes all the way around? That's the shape of the circle. And this thick stroke is on the outside. I could click this one and align it to the center. Now that blue circle is going around the middle. I could also click this one and put it on the inside. And now the blue circle is going around the outside of the stroke is on the inside. So that gives you some control as to where the stroke is. Now, the technique that Chris Spooner shows in his tutorial is to add another stroke, and this is a great way to do it. In the Appearance panel, I can click this, duplicate selected item, because I have a stroke selected. And now I have another stroke. I'm going to apply this one to the inside. So now it looks way thicker, but I have black and black. This inside one, though, I'm going to make it not 100% black. I'm going to make it like 95. And it actually gives me a different shade. Let me actually just go way lighter so you can see it. There. You can kind of see this different shade. And if I go to the fill in the appearance, maybe I'll bring the black up to 90. There we go. And you can kind of get different layers of darkness. Now that looks kind of funny like that. This is 90% black. The outside is 100% black. And so I'm going to do this inside stroke to be somewhere in between. I think I'm going to do it to be 95% black. There. And it just provides a little bit of texturing for the edges. So again, I'll do it to the body now. So here's the body. It has the outside stroke. This one here I'll do on the inside. And I will bring it so it's not so dark to 95. Now it looks kind of thick. I don't think I want it to be 4 point, this inside stroke. So I'm going to bring it down to say 2 point. Same with the head. I'll bring it down to 2 point. There, Control 0, and I can see the whole board. Kind of set my zoom. There. You can choose different colors if you want. I think he did the body at 95%, the outside at 100%, and the stroke at 93%. Now we need to do the face, and we'll do some sort of skin tone and then do a 93% black around the outside edge. So fill. Again, I'm using the appearance panel to get these colors, and I'll choose kind of a color like that. If I didn't want to use this eyedropper, I could double click this, go somewhere. Looks kind of red. I don't know. You pick your skin tone that you want. Oh, I need that extra stroke. And I'll do one more stroke. So I'll select it here in the appearance, duplicate that stroke. This one I'm going to set to the outside. This one I'm going to give a weight of 2. And I'll make it 95%. Oh, this is black. I don't want this stroke to be black. That's why I can't quite see it. I want it to be more of a skin tone. Now look what can happen here. I can take this fill color and I can apply it to this stroke, and it actually lightens the stroke. It changes it right there. And I want to darken this just a little bit. Something like that. Let me zoom in here so you can see what's going on. I'll deselect this for a moment. So I'm able to provide sort of a transition layer. If I want that to be a bit darker, I can add a bit more black to it. There. Okay. If you don't get this whole two-stroke thing, it's okay. It's not critical. It just adds a little bit of layer depth to your images. Let's move on. There's our basic ninja. So you could copy this ninja, I guess, and reproduce it, or go back and do the same with your other ninja. That way you can pose some of the different arms to the front. Maybe I can arrange this, bring this one to the front, could rotate it a little bit, bring it up. I don't know, whatever you want. So you can see here, might want to leave the arm, this arm loose so that it's out front, or this leg loose so it's out front, so not use the Pathfinder on the whole body like we did on this kind of shape. That way you can still kind of control the arm. You have some choices. Let's make some combat accessories. So first thing we're going to need is a staff. Let's just start with this one so we get the size right. So we need a rectangle tool. And we'll draw a rectangle, maybe about that long. The stroke is too thick. Let's give it some fill. Again, I'm using the appearance. And I don't know, we need more of a brown. Is that green? I don't know. That's fine. Now, one thing that happens if I let me leave this weight, the stroke thick on this. And now watch what happens if I scale this down. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to scale this down. I lose the center. I lose that center fill because the stroke is so thick. One of the preferences that you might want to set, and I have it copied in this tutorial, and it's from near the end if you have the Word document version. But anyways, is under Edit, Preferences, General. Edit, Preferences, General. There's a spot here, Scale, Strokes, and Effects. Scale, Strokes, and Effects. Check that off. Now, when you scale this, you'll still have the brown in the center. It won't be sort of squished away by the heavy strokes. That's just a good thing to have on. Okay. There, now our character, I'm going to bring the weight down to 2 on that. There. Our character now has a nice fighting stick. Give that to them. Hi-ya! We also need some other weapons. What are we going to make next? A throwing star, I think? Yeah, star tool. So hold our mouse down here. We can get the star tool. We're going to do a 5-pointed star, which is the default. If you press the up arrows, you get more points. You press the down arrow on your keyboard, you get less points. I haven't let go of my mouse button. I'm just deciding how many points I want to have. So I'm going to go with a 5-pointed star. Now it's filled it in with that. I think I want more of a gray. Let's go over here. My fill, I'm going to bring off all of these other colors. More just a dark gray. Maybe not too dark. There we go. And I want to have this sort of twist to it. So it looks more like a throwing star. So it looks like that. So I'm going to use the direct selection tool. The direct selection tool is the white arrow. That's the one for selecting just certain little pieces. Actually, this star looks a little big. I'm going to use the black selection for a second here and just scale this down. Now if I just grab this, I can kind of squish it and make it distorted. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and that way I keep it nice and symmetrical. And make my star about that big. Okay, now I'm going to grab the direct selection tool. Now if I click on here, I can see all the vertices where there's a point. Point, 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 point. And I'm going to grab all of the outside ones. I hold the Shift key down while I'm clicking, and each one is going from light to dark as I click them. There, so I just have the outside ones selected. And if I was to grab them now and move them, you can see I can sort of distort my star somehow, but that's not what I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to sort of do a rotation, a twist, and I need the rotate tool. Now don't be confused. We're not looking at rotate for transform or rotate up here in transform. We're looking for the rotate tool, tool being the key word. And underneath the paintbrush is the rotate tool. I can select that, and now it enables me to give a twist. Maybe like that. You can play with it and make it sort of how you want, but it's the rotate tool. Notice also my points are cut off. Now why would those points be cut off? That's because the stroke is being set to the center, and so it's trying to make those points. If I go to the outside, they'll be cut off even worse. But if I go to the inside, they'll stay inside my line and they won't be cut off. I need a center in this circle, so or in this throwing star, so I'm going to grab a circle and hold the Shift key down and draw my center. I'm going to align this there. I held the Shift key down, selected both objects, and I went align vertical, and I will do align horizontal there. Should we darken that center or lighten it? Darken it. Let's go with a darker fill and lighten up the stroke. Again, you can play with these. Oops. You can play with these and get different looks that you want. Oh, I should do that double stroke on the star though. That definitely looks better. So I've grabbed the whole star. Going to go to the fill under the appearance panel. I'm going to lighten this up just a little bit. And I'm going to go to this stroke here that's on the outside, and I'm going to duplicate it. So now I have another stroke. And this one I'm going to make a bit thicker to 2. This one's on the inside, and whoops, I've got the wrong one. This one. There we go. And I will go with something like that. Again, you have this original here. You can take a moment, pause, look at that, create his, or go with how I've got mine. That still looks a little dark though, doesn't it? Okay, enough fiddling. So there's one throwing star. I could make another. I'm going to highlight this whole thing, or shift-click both of them, right-click group, and that way this star will stay together as one object. I could give that to his hand, or I could give him a belt, I guess, eh? Put it on his belt. Anyways, so we have a throwing star. We have a stick. We need some nunchucks, and what else do we need? Oh, a little dagger sword. Yeah, of course. Let's make a dagger. Sort of like a mini dagger sword, somewhere in between. So I'm going to use the star tool again. Star tool to make a triangle. How's that possible? Well, push the down arrow key on my keypad, and I now have a 3-sided shape. I'll make the triangle about the same size as the throwing star. Try that again. I'm going to hold the shift key down while I do it. That way it's nice and horizontal. I can't turn it. There. And I want to have black stroke on this. Yeah, that looks good. And I want to make this the right length. So I'm going to use the direct selection tool. That's the white one. And I'm going to click the top point, and I'm going to extend it. And you can see I now have some choice as to how long to make this. If I hold the shift key down, it locks it so that I'm just going vertical. So maybe that long. And I'm going to bring these down so it's a little bit more like that. I think this stroke would look better on the inside probably. I'll keep it to the outside actually. I'm going to show you how to make a rounded stroke in a few minutes, so I'll just leave it like that. There, so there's my dagger. And if you look at the example here that Chris has made, it's a bit rounded around the edge. And if you have this Word document tutorial, I have an example of how to do it. Note number 2, which I got from this website here, Shape Shed Edges. And all we're going to do is go to Object Path, Offset the Path, and choose a 3-point with a 3 miter. Object Path, Offset Path. So Object, Path, Offset Path. Object, Path, Offset Path. It gives me this choice here, and we'll go with 3, round, and click off preview so we can actually see what it's making here. Wow! Now keep in mind it's actually making a duplicate. We're going to be deleting this sword that we just made and going with this one, but that is way too big. Let's put a 0 in front of there. Still too much. Let's do another 0. There, that looks about right. I'll bring it over here. So I have Now the first one that I made and the one that's a little bit rounded. You can go with the pointy one. It depends on your style, whatever you like. So I'm going to delete this one. So that was object, path, offset path. Delete the original. Do the double stroke as well to give some shading. So we'll do another stroke. And what's the fill on this? This is 31%. So this stroke will set to the outside. And maybe I'll make it a bit thinner. This stroke I'll set to the inside. And we'll make it, say, 46%. And again, I'm going to make this one a bit thinner as well. There. Gives a nice look. Be nice if there was, kind of an edge to this sword so that one side was a bit darker. So that's at 46% gray. I'm going to use the pen tool. The pen tool allows me just to draw various shapes. And I'm going to draw one right in here. Click. Hold the shift key down maybe. Oh no, it doesn't look. Click. 3 clicks. There we go. I have my shape. And I want the fill to also be the 46%. Just narrow this, move it a little bit to the... depending on what you're looking for. We need a handle on this sword. I'm going to use this same piece that I used here for the staff. Control C, Control V. And I'm just going to squish it way down. Kind of like Lego characters. You have to have all the same width for all their hands. We don't need much sticking out. I think I do want to increase the stroke though a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. And I'll send it to the back. And I'm going to, first off, I'm going to take this triangle and this sword and I'm going to group them. And then I'll take this object and the little handle piece. I'm going to align them vertically. That way it's right in the middle. And decide how much to have sticking out. You got to envision his hand. The ninja's hand is going to be right here, so we don't need to see much of the sword. Just a little piece like that. And I've sent it to the back. That way you don't see the black boundary around it. And I'll click both of them. Group those. How are we doing? We have a sword, which I can rotate. I should bring it to the front. Anyways. I have a throwing star, and I have a staff. The last thing that we need is some nunchucks. So the nunchucks, we need to have our 2 pieces of handle and a spot for the chain to go together. Again, I'm going to use the same handle. I don't have the double shading on this, but just for sake of time, I'm going to skip the double shading. Paste it. Increase the stroke on this one just a bit. There, that looks good. And Control C, Control V, paste that. So we're going to have this nunchuck. So these are the 2 handles, and we need a chain that goes in between them. So for this chain, I'm going to need a circle. So I'll grab the circle tool, and I'll draw a little circle. Maybe about like that big. I'm just going to zoom in here. And let's choose a gray for the fill. Maybe a light gray. And we'll make the stroke gray as well, maybe, I don't know, 30%? What did I do wrong? Went to 8. Must have clicked something wrong there. There. How's that look? Okay, maybe a little darker. That's fine. Again, you can play with the number or the settings to get a color that you like. So there's one. Control copy, control paste to here. Now what happens is I want to have a bunch of links that go from there to from this nunchuck to this nunchuck, but I don't want to copy a whole bunch of them. So what I'm going to do is hold the shift key down and select both of them, and then go Object, Blend, Make. Okay, Object, Blend, Make. And you can see it puts in a bunch of links for me. Now if you go under Object, Blend, Blend Options, you can actually specify how many steps. Now 5 is actually a good amount, but if I wanted more, I could go with 6, or I could go with 4. Maybe I'll go with 6. 6 isn't too bad once I spread them out a little bit. Now I need a path for this these links to follow along. I don't want it to be a straight line. I want it to be a nice curve. So I'll use the pen tool. There's the pen tool. And I'm going to draw the path. Let me just deselect first. So I'll take the pen tool. I want it to go from the end of this nunchuck, maybe out to over here, a bit of a handle, to like here, to there. Now don't worry about the fill. If you don't like the fill, you can just turn them off. You can even turn off the stroke if you don't want. The main thing is we're just defining the path. And if you forget or if you don't know, when you draw a path, you have these little handles that come out, and they sort of determine the curvature. And you can play with this on your own or whatever. I have another tutorial that looks at the pen tool, and we can fiddle with this. Now, I'll use the selection tool. I have my path that I want it to follow, and I'll hold the shift key down and select all the links. And I want to join these two together. So Object, Blend, Replace Spline. The spline is sort of the path that the links were following before, which was a straight line. I want to follow the path that I've drawn. So Replace Spline. And there you go. The links spread themselves out. I don't like how they're overlapping here. So I use the direct selection tool and just shorten up this path a little bit. Shorten it up there as well. And there you go. Now you could play with that if you want to sort of distribute the links a little bit better and get it to look a certain way, but I'm just going to stop there for time. And you can see once you're finished, you can make a whole scene of ninjas. There's my little ninjas. Oh, I should group this together. So let's click, 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 holding the shift key down on all of them. Right click, group. At least now when I move things around, they'll stay together. Put this behind its back. Where should I put this one? Fully equipped. Have fun!